Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to our coffee times to talk about horror. And today I bring you a topic that is very dear to my heart. I'm here to talk to you about the Terrifier franchise. I'm going to go a little bit about what these movies are about, the history, how they came to be, what I think about it, what I think it means to horror. So I'm gonna be talking about all the different movies, but I'm not going to spoil big things. I'm not gonna spoil deaths or things like that because you guys might still want to experience this beautiful franchise by yourselves. Lately, there's been a lot of conversations since Terrifier 3 came out about horror and how far can we go, how far should we push when it comes to horror and the things that are being shown or done on screen. So I'm here to talk to you about everything surrounding this franchise today. So grab a cup of coffee and let's get started.
It's coffee time.
To keep it short and simple, Terrifier is an American franchise that has 3 official full-length movies, and the movies are all about Art the Clown. He is a killer that just kills anybody on his path. The Terrifier franchise has found a fan base of people who crave violence and want to be shocked. They want that feeling of being shocked. We do have to praise the practical effects from this franchise. Even from the very beginning, it managed to really disturb the audience. The Terrifier franchise is a little bit of a reminder to the Grand Guignol in Paris. It started in the late 19th century and it merged comedy and violence in great stage productions that, while they were shocking audiences, they were also giving a satirical look at current events and grounded their horrors in reality. We also have the acclaimed French extremity in the early 2000s that gave us movies such as Martyrs that have been considered as torture porn. But also this movie is inspired by the history of its own country. During interviews, Damien Leone has been giving us some hints on how he came to the idea of Art the Clown. So in one interview, he mentioned that one day he thought about a bus, and in that bus there was a girl and a clown, and everybody got off the bus except the two of them, and they were left alone, uncomfortable inside of that bus. And that idea is what triggered the first short that featured Art the Clown. For the clown's look, Leone did say that he loved Pennywise, but he didn't want his clown to look anything like him, so he decided to do just the opposite. Pennywise is colorful, so he gave us Art that is black and white. Pennywise talks and tries to lure the kids by talking to them. Art is silent. Pennywise is all around a little bit more like with round shapes, and Art the Clown has a very edgy face with a big nose. Pennywise has hair. Art doesn't have hair. Pennywise also doesn't really need any weapon to kill, so he decided to give Art the Clown a bag full of weapons. But he also admits that he got a little bit of inspiration from one of his favorite episodes of The Twilight Zone. It seems that most people got introduced to Art the Clown through the anthology called All Hallows Eve that came out in 2013. And for that anthology, actually, Art the Clown was played by a friend of the director himself called Mike Giannelli. The director simply needed someone to play the clown, and his friend stepped in. But now let's go to the very origins of Art the Clown and the first short that gave us a peek into Art, which was The Ninth Circle. The Ninth Circle is an 11 minutes short that came out in 2008, and it was kind of like the debut of Damien because this is the first thing that he did, and it features a clown and a woman waiting for her train at a train station, and the clown gives her or offers her a flower, kind of similar to Terrifier 1 from 2016 when he offered this ring to Tara in the restaurant. In this short, we also already see Art using a syringe to inject a sedative in order to kidnap the the woman, something that he's gonna continue doing throughout the franchise. He also carried here already a bag with him with his toys, which will also become part of him. So as you can see, the very first time that we got a glimpse of Art the Clown, there were many things there that would solidify Art the Clown and who he will become later on in the franchise. And he also had in the first short the really annoying horn that we all know. However, in this short, Art the Clown is a little bit different. He looks different and there are parts where you can see his neck, and that might be a way of making him a little bit more human. The major difference from the Art the Clown that we know nowadays is that in this particular short, Art was directly working for the devil and killing for him. Of course, this is related to the title, The Ninth Circle of Hell, and it might justify a lot of things that happen later on during the franchise. However, even though he did work for the devil, Art the Clown is not considered a demon, but we do know that he has some sort of supernatural abilities, and this is why he is indestructible. After this first short, the director went back to Art the Clown and he decided to film another short, and this time he called it Terrifier, and this short came out in 2011. We follow a woman that after witnessing a brutal murder, she's going to be the next victim of this crazy maniac. We can already see that Art the Clown's look is starting to develop. We no longer are able to see the neck, it's more hidden, and the nose is starting to get the shape that we all know today. This was possibly a way to try to make him scarier, and also in this short they gave him a bigger bag. A lot of things to carry this guy. A woman is driving away in her car from Art the Clown, and as she's driving away, she sees him on the road miles ahead. So we already know that Art the Clown is a supernatural entity, because if he was in point A and she left with her car, how can he be now in front of the car? It just means that he's able to teleport in some shape or form, and she finds him on the side of the road holding a little sign that says circus, and this sign is going to come back in Terrifier from 2016. In this movie as well, some words are going to be carved on a body, and those words are gonna come back to the end of Terrifier 2. If you ever see Terrifier 2, please hold on, because after the credits there is an end scene. In 2013 we got All Hallows Eve, and this is an anthology that includes the short story that was featured in The Ninth Circle, as well as the short story called Terrifier from 2011, and it added a third story. So this is an anthology of 3 stories that are different, but they all feature and connect somehow Art the Clown. In this anthology, we follow a babysitter and 2 kids that go trick-or-treating on Halloween night, and they receive an unmarked, unnamed tape. When they get home, they decide to play the videotape, and they will soon get introduced to Art the Clown. And in this anthology, Art the Clown is kind of solidified as a myth or a local legend, which it's interesting because there are so many similarities between Art the Clown and Michael Myers. There are both local legends, they both wear masks, and they both are silent killers. Plus, if you remember, the original Halloween movie does feature a babysitter and some kids. One of the stories of this anthology features an artist that paints a painting of Art the Clown with his iconic smile, and almost like he has been compelled to paint this. So one of the explanations for Art the Clown being called Art is that he's able to control artists almost to the point that he can possess them and make them do things. The other theory for the name Art is my favorite because it's the one that I've always believed in, and that is that he is called Art because when he kills, he takes his sweet time, he wants to do his best job, and he wants to put his work in display. He wants to be some sort of weird artist, I guess. He also loves to sign his name on walls, on mirrors, And so I believe that he just considers himself an artist, that it is putting his, his work on display for the world to see. After the anthology, finally in 2016, we got Terrifier, which is considered now obviously the first movie in this, for now, trilogy. In the first Terrifier movie, we follow Art during Halloween night as he terrifies, in this case, two young women that are trying to get home after a Halloween party. Since the last time that we saw Art in the shorts portrayed in the anthology, we know that he has been killing. We also know that he killed a little girl at a carnival and that he has been living in this abandoned carnival ever since. And we will return to that place, which will become really important in Terrifier 2. Which, living in an abandoned carnival is quite fitting for a clown, if you ask me. This is the first time that the whole movie is truly focused on Art and his kills, and it is also the first time that he is being played by David Howard Thornton, who will become this iconic killer. In all the other shorts and the anthology, the character was still played by Damien Leone's friend, but now we finally got the Art that we know today. David Howard Thornton did audition for this role, and I believe thanks to him we have an Art with so much personality and so much charisma. I think he really did give life to this character. In Terrifier, we see Art the Clown getting ready at the beginning of the movie, so we know that he's not a demon but a human that has some sort of supernatural powers. My theory is that because he was working for the devil, as we saw in one of the shorts, maybe he made a deal, you give me some nice powers and I'll kill people for you. It might be the way that it went down, but of course these are just theories. He shows how much of a clown he is because he loves to put up a show. He even puts up a show for Tara, because when Tara is being restrained in this chair, Art the Clown has a very special show for her. He likes to be watched and he likes to show people what he can do. We also see him riding this little bicycle, wasting time, but just performing for the audience. Like many other serial killers, we know that Art can get hurt, but he cannot die, as far as we know for now. And this is something that he has in common with other slasher classics like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees. These guys keep coming back for more, no matter what they get done to them. Terrifier started to build a small cult following, including myself, but it was not until Terrifier 2 that the clown started to really getting noticed. It is when we got to Terrifier 2 that we actually saw a raise on interest in this franchise, in this character, and a lot of merchandise started being produced. Let's go to Terrifier 2. We know that Art the Clown is coming back for more, and actually Terrifier 2 takes place right after the first movie. When it opens in Terrifier 2, you know you're just taken right after the events of part 1, and Art is coming back for more. In this movie, when Art realizes that he's still alive, that he can probably not die, he seems to be surprised. So my theory is that this is the first time that he realizes he has some specific supernatural powers. But the moment he's like, oh, I'm alive, okay, cool, let me go start killing people again. In this movie, we are introduced to the little pale girl who is none other than a 10-year-old girl that Art had murdered himself at a carnival. And this girl was called Emily Crane. We know this because of the newspaper article that is being shown. And if we go back to Terrifier from 2016, the crazy cat lady that is in this abandoned building, and we all think that she's just crazy, she's holding a little doll that she says it's her daughter, and she calls her Emily. Could this have been Emily's mother that lost her mind after her little girl was brutally murdered at a carnival? It could potentially be the case. Art's killings from Terrifier 2016 will be known as the Mile County Massacre, and a lot of people know about the case, and it has become like a huge true crime thing. Everybody knows about it. He is so popular that people are starting to dress up like him for Halloween night, which opens up the conversation of how dressing up as a real-life true crime serial killer is something very disrespectful to the family and the victims, and the conversation is brought up also in the movie. As opposed to Terrifier, Terrifier 2 does not only focus on Art the Clown, it also focuses on the Shaw family. We get introduced to Sienna, her brother Jonathan, and the mom. The movie establishes a connection between Art and the Shaw family, and we get to understand why Art is determined to kill Sienna. Sienna's dad lost his mind and killed himself, but Sienna's dad was an artist, so we assume that maybe Art the Clown had something to do with all of this. We know that Sienna's dad had a brain tumor. Could this have been caused by Art the Clown? What we know for sure is that the dad started drawing Art the Clown as well as his victims using pictures that were leaked on the internet. We also have to address the fact that Sienna is a cosplayer and she makes dresses and outfits, and in Terrifier, the short from 2011, the woman that is the main character in that short is a costume designer. In Terrifier 2, we keep seeing that Art loves to perform and show his work. We see that in the Halloween store display, as well as when the trick-or-treaters come to get treats and Art the Clown opens the door. I'm not going into spoilers on the kills or anything in these movies. I just wanted to talk to you about the universe and Art the Clown and how he changed from the beginning to the end, which takes us now to the last installment in the franchise so far, which is Terrifier 3. This is the first time that we go outside of Halloween night because we are now spending Christmas with Art the Clown. And it's funny and it's interesting, and I think it fits so well because both Santa and Art, they both have outfits with hats and they both have big bags with presents. In Terrifier 3, we still follow Sienna and Jonathan as they are recovering from the events of Terrifier 2. We see them trying to go back to normalcy, trying to go back to their family members that they have left, to spend Christmas together and try to bond and connect again after everything that happened to them. But they will soon realize that Art the Clown is coming back for them. The first two movies did focus a lot more on Art the Clown and his kills, and we got a little bit more of context on Art and the Shaw family in Terrifier 2, but not really. There was not so much attention paid to this story. In Terrifier 3, we do get some questions answered, and I feel like there was a little bit more of effort put on giving us a little bit of background on both the Shaw family, Art, and deepen the connection between the two and why they are arch enemies. However, Terrifier 3 still leaves a lot of questions open. At least it does clearly answer who the pale girl was, if she was a demon or not. All of these is really clarified in Terrifier 3. In general, for me, this franchise, I think, does such a good job at giving us a lot of tropes from horror movies, but pushing the boundaries and pushing the viewers, giving them some visuals that they probably will never forget. This is also the first time that an indie movie has exploded to the level that Terrifier has. You need to imagine that the first film had a budget of $35,000, the second movie $250,000, and Terrifier 3 had a budget of $2 million. But I know that Damien still wanted to keep control over the movie and the things that he could show, so he didn't partner up with bigger studios or anything because he wanted to be able to determine the scenes and he didn't want to be censored, basically, and I applaud him for that. After just 10 days of Terrifier 3 being released, they got back 20 times their budget, which is crazy. People have criticized the Terrifier franchise, saying that it is just about the kills and it is just torture porn. And the thing is, you could say this about a lot of classic movies, because many of the movies that we love and adore, a lot of the slasher, like Friday the 13th, is just somebody killing teenagers. In this case, Art just makes no difference. He just kills anybody that is on his way. A lot of the slashers don't really have a proper storyline or characters with huge backgrounds or character depth. They are just like bland and cookie cutter characters, and nobody complains about that. Art the Clown is iconic. He is such a good main villain. Art the Clown is such an icon. He has so much charisma and so much personality. And if you take a look at all of the slashers that have been just coming out, like mass produced in the last years, all of those had killers that were just boring, that were just flat, and nobody said anything about that. You know, plot very thin, characters very, very boring and without any background story really, or very briefly explained. But like I said, nobody has been complaining about that, so I'm gonna be here and defend Art because I am an Art and a Terrifier defender. There have been many discussions as well about how far is it too far when it comes to horror movies and the things that they show. And I know that a lot of people have an issue with Terrifier 3 because based on the teaser and the trailer, they know that there are kids involved in the film. Of course, we also know that Art is dressed as Santa, and we all associate Santa with kids and presents. And I can tell you that there are so many movies that kill kids, and they've been there since the beginning of time. And you can go back to Sleepaway Camp, you can go back to Pet Sematary, you can also go to Dr. Sleep, which has a very much more disturbing death scene of a kid. And there are just so many more, and nobody was complaining about it. So I was really surprised that suddenly this was an issue with Terrifier 3. And for anybody that is scared of watching this movie because of the kids, let me tell you that any kid scene that is a potential kid kill happens always off screen. People have been going to the extent of saying that these type of movies should be banished, should not be allowed. And what I will say on this topic is we all have different triggers, we all have different things that are too far for us. There are some people that might not be able to watch certain things, and that is okay. Then this movie is not made for you. To be honest with you, I found the movie Speak No Evil a lot more traumatizing and disturbing than Terrifier 3. And in Speak No Evil, the original film, there's also kids involved, and it does not end up well. So the levels of things that are going to be disturbing for you or for me are going to be very different. If you know your limits, which I hope you know, set boundaries. You don't have to watch these movies. But you can also allow people that love to make them and love to watch them to have their fun. And this comes from someone that has also her limits when it comes to watching certain things. For me, for example, I will never watch the Cannibal Holocaust movie. I know that animals were killed for real in that movie. I think I heard that they were gonna kill them anyway because it was like a sacrifice for these tribes or whatever. I don't care. I know the animals killed on screen are killed for real, and I just don't want to watch that movie. And I will also tell you that Terrifier is a movie that merges horror and comedy. And a lot of the kills are just fun. People are laughing in the cinema room. People are having fun with it because Art the Clown is such a fun, cool dude. And it does remove a lot of tension from the scenes, which I think it's necessary when you're watching this type of movies. At least it helps me to have a lot more fun with it, and it doesn't disturb me as much as other movies that are dead serious. Like I said, Speak No Evil was really, really messed up, and I know a lot of people that also believe that movie messed them up a lot more than any Terrifier will ever do. Let's talk about the future of Terrifier to end this video. I am a lover of a good story, and even though the Terrifier movies are not well known for having a huge story, a compelling story, there's something about Art the Clown that makes me want to rewatch the movies over and over again. I just fell in love with him as a villain, as an iconic character, and he has just so much personality, and we have to thank David Howard Thornton for a lot of that Art's charisma, because he infused so much personality into that character, because he can go from mime slash clown, happy-go-lucky, to completely terrifying in 2 seconds. And I believe that Art the Clown could potentially be the Michael Myers of our generation. The director has already confirmed that there is going to be a Terrifier 4, and he has also hinted to a possible Terrifier 5. But I believe he said in an interview that Terrifier 4 was going to end Art's character arc. So I'm a little bit scared that if he moves forward with the franchise, we're not going to have Art anymore. And I don't know what's going to mean for the franchise, because most people just want to see Art. He also mentioned that the next movie might take place in hell itself, which will of course reinforce the theory about a battle between evil and good, having Sienna as almost like an angel against an evil like Art. And we also got the news that Terrifier might be turned into a video game, which I also support because I would love to play the game. So in the future, it is safe to say that we are still gonna see a lot of Art the Clown and Terrifier. And as my final thought, let me tell you that I know the Terrifier movies are pushing the boundaries a little bit far sometimes for what we are used to, especially the movies that we are used to see in the cinema, because there are many underground movies that are quite horrific and violent that audiences never get to experience because they don't even get like a release on streaming services. So I also believe that pushing the boundaries in horror movies, it is healthy for the genre of horror to move forward. I think horror is all about pushing boundaries, to explore things that makes us uncomfortable, that makes us disturbed. It is what horror is at its core. It's putting people in uncomfortable positions, pushing the boundaries, going far, seeing how far they can get. And I just think it's good for the genre in general, and it should not be censored. That is not to say that I don't have my limits, because I do, and there are certain things that I will not like to see on screen, so I will just not watch it, but I would let others enjoy it if that is what they like. Some people don't like musicals, some people don't like romantic comedies, some people don't like movies like Terrifier, but it doesn't mean that a movie like Terrifier or a musical or romantic comedy, just because you don't like it, it should never be made again. Alright you guys, so I hope that you enjoyed my deep dive into the Terrifier franchise. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about it and I really have a good time with it. Let me know down below what you thought about the video, if you like Art the Clown, if you have seen the movies, what you thought of them, and also let's open the conversation down below about horror pushing the boundaries, and if you feel like this is something that it is healthy for the horror industry, or if you think that we are going too far with movies like Terrifier 3. Let's talk about it in the comments. Thank you guys, as always, so much for watching. If you want to directly support me and the channel, please consider joining my Patreon, and I hope to see you all, as always, in our next coffee time. Bye!